From crankshafts that seize at highway speed, to frames that literally crack while you're riding, to a company that lost over $1 billion last year. The motorcycle industry is in full meltdown mode right now, and if you're thinking about buying a new bike, you need to know which ones to avoid. These are the 15 most hated motorcycles right now. We're counting down from bad to absolute disaster. And number one? It's a combination of mechanical failure and corporate collapse that has an entire community questioning whether the brand will even survive. Let's get into it. Number 15, the Triumph Speed 400. Triumph built its reputation on premium British motorcycles. So when the company announced an affordable entry-level bike made by Bajaj in India, riders were cautiously optimistic. That optimism did not last long. Owners started reporting rusty exhaust headers and bolts straight from the factory. Key lock sets failed at just 1,100 kilometers. Fork oil seals leaked. Cold start problems appeared when temperatures dropped below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Engine warning lights required software updates. When owners in the United Kingdom contacted Triumph about these defects, they were told to be patient because Bajaj was sorting it out. One owner posted online saying his bike has a Triumph badge on it, so he expects Triumph to resolve the issues, not some other company. The Speed 400 costs around $5,000 in the United States. That is aggressive pricing for a Triumph, and it set expectations against the brand's premium identity. When quality problems emerged, owners felt like they bought a budget bike with a premium badge. Owners in Western markets report fewer issues overall, which suggests quality control varies significantly by production batch. But for a brand built on heritage and craftsmanship, outsourcing to chase volume is a gamble that is generating real backlash. Number 14, CF Moto Motorcycles. China's most visible motorcycle brand in Western markets carries a persistent stigma, and it is backed by real problems. The Better Business Bureau has documented complaints showing a clear pattern. One owner's 450 SS suffered an oil cooler failure at just 1,000 miles. The replacement O-rings were back-ordered for over 5 weeks. Another owner's 2024 U-Force 1000 developed leaking transmission seals, severe gear rattling, and metal filings in the differential after only 800 miles. The consistent theme across complaints is parts availability. North American owners face wait times of weeks to months for basic components that Japanese brands stock immediately. Common defects include oil leaks, faulty sensors, dead horns, dim headlights, and inaccurate gear indicators. But the resale value collapse is what really stings. One Reddit user reported a dealer offering $4,000 trade-in on a 2-year-old machine with just 500 miles. CF Moto's partnership with KTM has improved their newer designs, and many 450 SS owners do report thousands of trouble-free miles. But buying one remains a calculated gamble. When things go right, the value is incredible. When they do not, the support infrastructure simply is not there. Number 13, the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. This was supposed to be Royal Enfield's most ambitious bike ever. It was a complete redesign with a new engine and modern technology. Then 2 separate incidents of the frame breaking while being ridden sent shockwaves through the community. Both crashes went viral on social media. One occurred in Assam and one occurred between Chennai and Hyderabad. They triggered painful memories of the original Himalayan 411's well-documented frame breakage problems. Royal Enfield blamed aftermarket crash guards, saying they interfere with the engine when the engine is used as a stressed member of the chassis. The owner's manual now states that aftermarket guards void the warranty. The company released official crash guards priced at around $50 and $100 respectively. But that's not the only issue. Owners created a petition demanding a recall for widespread switch malfunctions. Motorcycle News, UK's fleet bike suffered a throttle position sensor failure during a 3,000-mile European tour, dropping into limp mode. YouTuber Yami Noob documented stalling issues when the engine drops below 3,000 RPM during Ladakh testing. Here's a stat that should concern everyone. Riders Share tow data ranks Royal Enfield's overall tow rate at nearly 4 times the average across all brands. That's the worst empirical reliability figure available. Over 40,000 Himalayan 450s have sold, making the failure rate statistically small. But when the failure is your frame snapping while riding, the alarm is absolutely justified. Number 12. The Suzuki GSX-R lineup. Suzuki has not killed the GSX-R with a bad redesign. They have done something arguably worse. They let the entire lineup die of neglect. The GSX-R 600 and GSX-R 750 are discontinued in Europe and Japan. The GSX-R 1000's last substantial update was 2017. That is 8 years of color-only changes, while competitors launched entirely new platforms. Suzuki exited MotoGP in 2022, severing the racing development pipeline that fed the GSX-R's development for decades. That exit cut off a key source of innovation. Japanese domestic motorcycle sales through August 2025 are down over 10% for Suzuki. That is the worst among the big four. Forum reactions on Gixxer.com range from grief to fury. One rider who owned Suzukis for 25 years posted that if nothing new comes along in 2025, he will buy another brand. The GSX-8R, Suzuki's parallel twin middleweight offering, gets dismissed as the dumbing down of sport bikes. Not a true Gixxer. A teaser video in mid-2025 hinted at a GSX-R return. Patents for a reverse rotating crankshaft from Suzuki's MotoGP technology have surfaced. But for now, Suzuki abandoned the supersport market. While Honda refreshed the CBR, Kawasaki launched the ZX-6R, and Yamaha introduced the R9. This is the story of a legendary nameplate, the bike that defined a generation of sport bike culture being left to wither. Number 11. The BMW R1300 GS. BMW's flagship adventure bike launched to critical acclaim. Then reality set in. A worldwide recall of approximately 25,000 units hit in July 2024. Faulty semiconductor starter relays allowed moisture ingress and corrosion. But the recall was just the headline. Owner forums document a growing list of first-year issues. Front-end instability and tank slappers above 175 km per hour. Brakes requiring 3 or 4 fingers where the R1250 GS needed one. Suspension criticized as squishy and bouncy by RevZilla testers. Pannier locking system so problematic that luggage was not even available until early 2025. Bike Social's long-term test bike spent 2 full weeks being repaired during its test period. Forum users consistently describe early BMW buyers as beta testers. One posted that BMW Motorrad needs to stop using consumers as their quality assurance department. With options packages, the R1300 GS easily exceeds $25,000 and can reach $30,000. Insurance costs reportedly run 400% higher than the outgoing R1250 GS in some markets. Consumer Reports data from its most recent study pegged BMW's overall 4-year failure rate at 40%, second worst of all brands studied. The R1300 GS also carries the cultural weight of the Starbucks adventurer stereotype, the $20,000 plus adventure machine loaded with accessories that never leaves pavement. Fair or not, that reputation generates its own category of hate. Number 10. The Indian FTR 1200. The FTR's flat tracker styling is gorgeous. Its stock fuel injection is, by broad reviewer consensus, among the worst in modern motorcycling. Return of the Cafe Racers called it the most appalling fueling of any motorcycle they have ever ridden. The bike stalls and bucks when cold. It requires 5+ minutes of warm-up despite being a modern fuel-injected machine. It surges around 4,000 RPM, and it is jerky on off-throttle transitions. Cold start stalling persists from 2019 to 2023 model years. Indian allegedly told dealers that if temperatures are below 45 degrees Fahrenheit and someone reports cold start issues, there is nothing they can or will do about it. The universally acknowledged fix is a $400 to $600 aftermarket ECU tune from companies like Fuelmoto or Lloyd's. Owners describe it as transformative, but the community's fury centers on the principle. Nobody should have to spend hundreds of dollars to make a brand new motorcycle run correctly. Additional issues include ride command touchscreen freezes, ABS randomly disabling, and battery drain problems. Here's the bigger picture. In October 2025, Polaris sold its majority stake in Indian Motorcycle to Carrollwood LP, a private equity firm. They closed the Osceola, Wisconsin plant and eliminated roughly 200 jobs. Forum sentiment about private equity ownership ranges from cautious to deeply pessimistic. The FTR's problems may be just the beginning. Number 9. The Ducati Panigale 5.4 Ducati Superbike Crown Jewel. and 2025 delivered a recall trifecta that tarnished it badly. First, 592 units were recalled in January 2025 for heat-damaged rear brake hoses. Thermal shields were incorrectly positioned. The fix was a repositioned heat shield held by a zip tie. That proved insufficient, triggering a second recall of 1,440 units covering 2025 and 2026 Panigale 5.4 and Street Fighter 5.4 models. Then in September 2025 came the big one. Over 10,000 units were recalled across multiple model years because the rear wheel shaft could lose its structural integrity and break while riding. 11 worldwide cases were reported. Here is what makes it worse. Ducati had quietly implemented a more robust shaft in production since June 2024, meaning they knew about the weakness before the recall. The Panigale 5.4 also carries the broader burden of Ducati ownership costs. Desmodromic valve service runs $1,200 to $2,500 in the United States. Dealer labor rates hit $110 to $170 per hour. Spark plugs cost over $40 each at Ducati dealers versus under $10 at auto parts stores. One forum member captured the frustration perfectly. When you are looking at a service charge that approaches 10% of the purchase price, that is a problem. The V4S starts above $28,000. The V4R approaches $40,000 and beyond. Number 8. The Harley-Davidson Pan America. Harley's first adventure bike arrived in 2021 to skepticism. It promptly validated every concern. Early Pan America owners report pervasive electrical failures, error codes on startup, battery failures within 1,000 miles. One owner went through 3 batteries in 2,000 miles. Adaptive ride height. Malfunctions prevented the bike from lowering at stops. Touchscreen bugs locked up the entire system. The kickstand bracket, mounted directly to the engine, loosens its bolts and risks catastrophic engine damage. One owner waited over 100 days for a battery cable to arrive. Forum reports are scorching. One owner called it the biggest, most expensive piece of garbage he has ever owned. A dealer offered this solution. Keep it on a battery tender in a heated space and do not ride it in the rain. By the fourth quarter of 2024, Harley shipped only 415 Pan Americas worldwide. These were not sold to customers. They were shipped to dealers. Production moved to Thailand for 2025. Some dealers refused to stock them. The Pan America Special is reportedly canceled for 2026. Resale values have cratered well below MSRP. Harley did improve batteries and charging systems on 2023 and later models. Forum users acknowledge the newer bikes are significantly better, but the early adopter damage was devastating. Number 7. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S and Nightster. In 2022, Harley discontinued the air-cooled Evolution engine Sportster. That nameplate had been produced continuously since 1957. They replaced it with the liquid-cooled Revolution Max-powered Sportster S and the Nightster. The backlash came from every direction. Purists rejected the liquid-cooled engine as not a real Harley. Riders said it sounds whirry and clattery instead of producing the iconic Sportster thump. Some forums called the Sportster S styling as attractive as a bucket full of dog balls. The fuel tank is actually an airbox cover. The real 3.1-gallon tank sits under the seat. The Nightster's left side looks visibly unfinished with exposed cables, hoses, and plastic covers. But the deeper wound is economic. The Iron 883 cost $8,400 in 2014. It was the affordable gateway into Harley ownership, the bike that hooked young riders. Now the cheapest Harley with a Milwaukee 8 engine is the Street Bob at $17,000. The Nightster, at $13,500, competes against the Honda Rebel 1100, which is much cheaper, and the Yamaha MT-09 at $11,000 with 30 more horsepower. MCN's verdict: not a bad cruiser, but it's not a Sportster 883 replacement in feel, attitude, or price. Young riders find them too expensive versus Japanese alternatives. Old school riders find them too plastic and soulless. The result is a bike that satisfies almost nobody, while erasing one of motorcycling's most storied model lines. Number 6. Zero Motorcycles. Zero has been building electric motorcycles since 2006, longer than anyone else. The community still will not adopt them. The SRF starts at just under $19,000. It delivers 70 to 100 miles of real-world mixed riding. It weighs 485 to 505 pounds. It takes 8 hours to charge on a standard household outlet. But the value proposition collapses further when you discover Zero's pay-to-play model, a $1,795 over-the-air performance boost, a $2,300 rapid charger module, a power tank for extra battery capacity. But here is the catch: you cannot have both the charger and the extra battery because they occupy the same physical space. Some models shipped without the charging cable included at base price. Reliability issues compound the frustration. One SRS owner went through 8 drive belts in 21,000 miles. Zero blamed improper tensioning. Other documented failures include head and wheel bearings, rear swing arm weld cracks, and peeling motor coating. Multiple Better Business Bureau complaints describe bikes out of service for more than 8 months. Resale value is catastrophic. One owner lost $6,500 selling with only 500 miles on the odometer. A 2022 recall covered SR, SRF, and SRS models shipped with brake pads that failed to meet federal safety requirements. Zero represents the painful paradox of electric motorcycling. The technology is genuinely thrilling to ride, but the price-to-range ratio, charging infrastructure, and ownership costs make it economically irrational for most riders. Number 5. The Kawasaki Ninja 7 Hybrid. Kawasaki bet its green technology future on the Ninja 7 Hybrid. The market's verdict has been devastating. At $12,500 and 503 pounds, it delivers just 68 combined horsepower, meaning, as one reviewer noted, every MT-07 owner will leave you in the dust. EV mode cannot exceed 40 miles per hour. It is only usable in gears 1 through 4. Switching from EV to hybrid mode is only possible below 18 miles per hour. MCN called this limitation not only an annoyance, but a safety issue. Real-world fuel economy lands in the mid-40s to the mid-60s miles per gallon, barely better than many conventional bikes. Then came the recalls. In September 2024, all Ninja 7 and Z7 hybrid units were recalled for transmission software causing dangerous false neutrals, with a do not ride order. But it gets worse. A second recall followed for improperly welded frame head pipes that could crack, causing loss of handling. Kawasaki's remedy was extraordinary. They offered to replace the entire motorcycle free of charge. 2 recalls in its first year, one for the gearbox, one for the frame. MCN's long-term tester summarized it perfectly. The hybrid simply isn't much fun. It's uncomfortable, heavy, hard to wheel around your garage. Not great in corners, not that quick, and it does not sound great either. He was not exactly gutted when Kawasaki recalled it. Dealers report never having sold one. Number 4. The Livewire S2 and 1. This may be the most spectacular commercial failure in motorcycle history. Originally launched as the Harley-Davidson Livewire at nearly $30,000 in 2019, the brand was spun off as a separate company. It went public via SPAC and projected sales of 15,000 units annually. The reality? 597 units sold in 2022, 660 in 2023, 612 in 2024, and just 33 in the first quarter of 2025. That's a 72% year-over-year decline. 0 Livewire 1 models sold in all of 2023. Financial losses reached $85 million in 2022 and $125 million in 2023. In the third quarter of 2024, Livewire earned more revenue from Stacy children's balance bikes at $3.2 million than from actual motorcycles at $1.2 million. The S2 Del Mar and Mulholland models, originally priced around $16,000, were slashed to under $10,000 in a desperation promotion. The Del Mar alone was recalled 3 times in a single year. Software shutdowns, loose axle and shock nuts, and a high-voltage fuse that could open during rapid acceleration, causing sudden loss of propulsion. 788 units affected. CEO Jochen Zeitz blamed charging infrastructure at the May 2025 shareholders meeting. That defense was widely mocked as ignoring the fundamental issues of price, range, and weight. Zeitz subsequently announced his retirement amid a proxy campaign. An activist board member launched the Free the Eagle campaign demanding executive resignations. Number 3. Harley-Davidson as a brand. Beyond individual models, Harley-Davidson itself has become the motorcycle industry's most controversial entity. The numbers tell a brutal story. Domestic sales plummeted from over 260,000 in 2006 to roughly 121,000 in 2023. That's a 53% collapse. First quarter 2025 global retail sales fell 21%. Motorcycle shipments dropped 33%. North American sales declined 24%. The stock dropped 31%. And fourth quarter 2024 produced a $117 million loss. In August 2024, the company moved Sportster S, Nightster, and Pan America production to Thailand, breaking a promise that Thai-built bikes would not be sold in the U.S. The union president called it a kick in the teeth to American workers and a betrayal of the company's legacy as an American icon. Roughly 600 Kansas City jobs had already been lost when the Thai plant opened in 2019. At the same time, conservative activist Robbie Starbuck's viral video accusing Harley of a woke agenda triggered boycott calls at the 2024 Sturgis rally. Dealers reported customers who do not even want to be associated with Harley anymore. Meanwhile, the CVO Road Glide now commands $45,000 to $57,000. A reported CVO Road Glide RR hit $110,000. Nearly 50,000 unsold new motorcycles sat at dealer lots. Loan terms have stretched to 7 years at interest rates exceeding 10%. This is America's most iconic motorcycle brand. Over 120 years of heritage, simultaneously alienating its loyal base, pricing out new riders, and losing money on every strategic initiative. Number 2, the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R. The ZX-6R was supposed to be the supersport segment's triumphant return. Instead, it became one of the most dangerous motorcycle recalls in recent memory. In June 2025, over 17,000 units of 2024 and 2025 models were recalled after Kawasaki discovered that crankshaft bolts were over-torqued during factory assembly. This damaged the number 5 crankshaft bushing. The engine can seize without warning at any speed. NHTSA issued a rare do not ride classification. Owners were told to stop riding immediately and to avoid even parking the bike outdoors. Here's what makes it worse. Kawasaki first received a failure report from Europe in July 2024, but they initially blamed aftermarket modifications. It took until May 2025 to reproduce the failure on a stock engine. 10 months of delay. At least one serious crash occurred when a rider stalled and was struck by another vehicle, suffering a fractured shoulder. Then in November 2025, a second recall expanded to over 20,000 units, including 2026 models. Why? Because the first recall's repair process itself could cause the same defect. As of October 2025, only about 11,000 of the original 17,000 bikes had been fixed when the second recall dropped. Every version is affected: Standard, ABS, KRT Edition, and the 40th Anniversary Edition. Top Speed called it one of Kawasaki's biggest recalls in recent history. And number 1, KTM and the 790 and 890 camshaft crisis. No motorcycle controversy in 2024 through 2026 combines mechanical failure, corporate catastrophe, and customer betrayal quite like KTM. The hatred operates on 2 devastating levels simultaneously. First, the camshaft crisis. It affects the LC8C parallel twin engine in 790 Duke and Adventure, 890 Duke and Adventure models, plus the Husqvarna Norden 901. A Facebook group called KTM Failed Camshafts has amassed nearly 10,000 members. Independent testing by a University of Queensland engineer found the camshafts had a Rockwell hardness of 51 versus the expected 58 to 60. Essentially soft metal where hard metal is critical. Carbon content was lower than specified. Cam lobes wore through prematurely, sometimes catastrophically, at as few as 11,000 miles. KTM initially claimed 99% of discoloration had no impact on functionality, a position the community found insulting. Some owners reported being told to go away once their bikes were past 2 years old. KTM eventually acknowledged the issue in July 2024. They committed to goodwill repairs even out of warranty and promised retroactive reimbursement. But the trust damage was done. On November 29, 2024, Purer Mobility, KTM's parent company, declared insolvency. KTM AG entered judicial restructuring with €3 billion in total debt. In 2024, a net loss of €1.188 billion, negative equity of €199 million, and approximately 130,000 unsold motorcycles in inventory, roughly a full year of global sales. The stock cratered 86% from its January 2022 high of 95 Swiss francs to under 8 francs. Over 1,800 employees were eliminated. The Mattighofen factory shut down from December 2024 through mid-March 2025. By the end of April 2025, only 4,200 motorcycles had been produced in Austria. Board member Hubert Trunkenpolz admitted publicly that they damaged the KTM brand with overproduction and quality problems. For KTM owners, the financial crisis transforms every mechanical concern into a survival question. Parts warehouses were reportedly empty again after 6 weeks by late April 2025. CF Moto terminated its sales cooperation with Pirer in 5 European countries. GasGas is exiting MXGP and MotoGP factory programs. MV Agusta was sold off. The 1290 and 1390 Adventure models were delayed for North America until 2026. A separate recall of approximately 19,000 Husqvarna and GasGas off-road bikes for defective front brake calipers, plus a recall of all 2025 KTM 390 and 2024 Husqvarna 401 models, over 6,000 units for engine stalling software, compounded the reputational damage during the worst possible moment. KTM earns the #1 spot because it represents every category of motorcycle hate simultaneously. Reliability nightmares with the camshafts, quality control failures with soft metal, manufacturer betrayal with years of denial, corporate crisis with near bankruptcy, safety recalls for brakes and stalling, and an uncertain future that threatens every current owner's parts supply, warranty coverage, and resale value. When a company's own board member publicly admits they damaged the brand with overproduction and quality problems, the community's hatred isn't just justified, it's an understatement. So what is the takeaway from all this? 2 distinct species of motorcycle hatred emerge from this list. Cultural hate targets brands like Harley-Davidson and BMW. These are bikes whose products may be competent, but whose cultures, pricing, or rider stereotypes generate tribal resentment. Harley remains the most talked about target of motorcycle hate by raw volume. But much of it is performative, a meme, an identity signal within riding culture. Genuine, data-backed hate is different and more concerning. KTM's camshaft metallurgy failures, Kawasaki's over-torqued crankshaft bolts, Ducati's breaking axles, Royal Enfield's cracking frames. These represent real engineering failures with real safety consequences. The period from 2024 to 2025 has been unusually rich in this second category. Multiple do-not-ride orders, repeated recalls for the same defects, and an entire major manufacturer nearly going bankrupt. For anyone buying a motorcycle right now, the lesson is clear. Brand loyalty is no substitute for checking the NHTSA recall database before you sign the paperwork. If this video helped you avoid a bad purchase, hit that like and subscribe button. We have more industry deep dives coming.